Welcome for another installment of Bhagavatam. Now we're up to chapter 2 of part 3. And so today we're going to hear the kind of crazy, fascinating, strange tale of how Krishna left the earth. Or at least we'll start the tale. Hey Melissa, because as you remember, we followed Vidura. Vidura is the uncle of the Pandavas, Arjun. Yudhishthira, it's their uncle. Vidura had the opportunity of being exiled during the fratricidal war. And then even after the war, he remained out on exile, walking around, going from temple to temple or sacred place to sacred place, looking for somebody in particular who could teach him about Krishna. And not just Krishna, but the depth, the truth of the world. And finally, as he moved west along Saraswati River and came to Yamuna, finally he meets Uddhava, Krishna's closest companion. But Uddhava is completely weird. And he won't even look at Vidura and won't answer Vidura's questions. Hi, everybody. So Vidura asks him tons of questions about all these different people. And finally, let me see, trying out a new lights situation. Finally, it's so funny to watch yourself like 5 seconds after you do something. So finally, Uddhava's going to say something. You're going to find out why he couldn't talk. So we're picking up with chapter 2. Uddhava listened to Vidura's questions about the person in whom he had placed all of his love. Each one threw him deeper into anxiety. Mahayosimo. Uddhava's love for Krishna was uncommonly strong. So now you hear a little bit about Uddhava. And why is he so messed up right now? Each word out of Vidura's mouth put Uddhava into deeper and deeper anxiety. Because his love for Krishna was uncommonly strong. Even as a child, barely 5 years old, he would play by reenacting Krishna's pastimes with dolls and friends. So he was he's a bit younger than Krishna, right? So he would hear news about Krishna, the different amazing things that he did as a child, and then he would reenact it with his friends or with dolls. This is a Bhagavatam stream. You watch my astrology videos for that kind of stuff. 2020, I have plenty of videos about that. When his mother called him for breakfast, he could not stop. He could not stop playing. His affection for Krishna only increased over time. Indeed, no aspect of age could ever overtake Uddhava. That's an interesting thing. Even at the time when Vidura is speaking to Uddhava here on the bank of Yamuna, Vidura seems to be in his late teens. And that's actually also a facet of Krishna himself, is that he always seems to be in late teens, early 20s. When he tried to answer Vidura, so he was actually trying to answer Vidura, but each time he would try, he would remember the lotus-like feet of his master and then fall completely silent, because he was inundated by a flood of ripened nectar flowing from those memories. So he would get totally overwhelmed by the memory of the person he's trying to talk about, and then he would become unable to speak. Bound to Krishna by powerful devotion, his hair stood up all over his body, and he struggled to wipe the tears from his blinking eyes. It was obvious to Vidura that Uddhava had attained the most fulfilling of all goals. He was completely drowned in ever-expanding love. Now, this is the part that will break your noodle, if you think about it. Uddhava is in anxiety right now. He's in anxiety and he's in tears. And Vidura thinks he's achieved the most fulfilling goal. So try to wrap your noodles around that. Try to comprehend that. What's the most fulfilling goal if this person is crying? Maybe crying is not undesirable. Maybe boredom is actually the most undesirable thing. Maybe lack of depth of experience is the most undesirable thing for we who are consciousness. And it's not really pain or pleasure, but it's the absence of either that makes us not feel alive. And maybe love is the exciter of emotions that brings them to the highest pinnacles of positive and negative. And so what Vidura is seeing in Uddhava right now is he's at a negative pinnacle of emotion, which means he's got intense emotion, which means he's achieved the most fulfilling goal of life. Gradually, Uddhava's consciousness returned from the all-attractive plane to the human world. So gradually, his consciousness got unstuck in Krishna and came out to a place where he could interact with Vidura. Drying his eyes, he smiled and sympathetically told Vidura the most painful of all words. So he tries to smile and he tries to be very sympathetic, but he says the most painful of all things. I wonder what he's going to say. Ouch, I hurt my foot. That's not really the most painful of all things. The most painful of all things is if you lose the thing which makes you alive, the thing which draws your emotions to the pinnacles of positive and negative, the thing which makes you know that you exist and relish it, the object of love. So he says the Krishna sun has set, which is a very enlightened way to word it, which is true for any eternal thing. So eternal things don't begin or end, but they come in and out of vision. And so for anybody's death or appearance, depending on how you're addressing or conceiving of the individual, for anybody, they could be described as rising and setting, their life beginning and ending. The body itself is beginning and ending. But the true being that generated that body and maintained that body and saturated that body and infused that body with life just rises like the sun in the morning and sets. And then when the sun is gone, it doesn't die. It just continues to exist, but in a place where we don't see it. The underworld. And then it comes back up out of the underworld on the other side. So the Krishna sun is set, and now darkness devours us. What else can I say? The Krishna sun has set, and now what? It's dark. The Krishna sun is set, and now darkness devours us. What else can I say? All happiness flees from our wealth and our homes. Now, Vidura has no idea. He's not like Yudhishthira. When Yudhishthira heard this from Arjuna earlier, he had premonitions and omens. Vidura is totally oblivious, has no idea that this news is about to get dropped on his head. So Vidura could not say anything. He could barely believe he had heard what he had just heard. And Uddhava continues remorsefully. People think that Yadu is a clan or a dynasty that's centered around Krishna. People think that we Yadu are the most fortunate family in the world because Hari lived among us. But in truth, we're the most unfortunate. Now, why is he going to? Now, why? Why is he going to say that? Is he going to say actually Hari didn't live with us? He's going to say, he says, we lived with Hari, but we didn't really appreciate the opportunity. We felt like fish in the company of the moon. Now, I can't believe I don't have a footnote on this. We felt like fish in the company of the moon. We couldn't really accept him as one of us. I guess it's pretty self-evident. Now, this is so amazing, actually. This is so, you definitely, if you don't take your time with this, you're going to misunderstand this in 2 or 3 different ways. So take your time with it. First of all, he says, people think that the Yadu's family is the most fortunate family because Vishnu, Hari, made an avatar in our family. But the truth is, we're not so fortunate. We're pretty actually unlucky. It's like if you have a lotto ticket and you lose it, a winning ticket and you lose it. You're more unlucky than a person that didn't even have a winning ticket. So we had this amazing opportunity to what? This is the part you might misunderstand. To know, to understand that he's Vishnu or something. It's not exactly what Vidura is saying. He said, we are the most unfortunate. We lived with Hari, but we didn't really appreciate the opportunity. We felt like fish in the company of the moon. So that's the analogy that unlocks what Uddhava is really saying. Now, those of you guys who are from India or have a lot of background with this, you know Uddhava. He's a very famous character. He's a crossover character between Dwarka and Vrindavan. He's a Dwarka Basi. He lives in Dwarka, but he travels to Vrindavan and meets the gopis. So he's one of the very few people who actually gets to experience both types of Krishna. The majestic, king-like Krishna in Dwarka, and the romantic, sweet, playful Krishna in Vrindavan. And he gets to taste or experience the 2 kinds of love for him. And that's why he's saying what he's saying right now. So, the fish in the company of the moon. Imagine you're a fish and you're swimming in the ocean and the moonlight comes in. So the moon is shining on your pond. And so people will say, wow, the moon is like the friend of the fish. The moon is even swimming around with the fish. As the water moves, the moon moves around. But the fish, they'll never treat the moonlight. They'll never treat the moonlight like it's a fish. Because they always feel like it's different from us. It's something bigger than us. It's from the sky. It's an avatar. It crossed into the ocean, but actually it's from the sky. So they always remain aware of the differentness or the greatness or the categorical superiority of the moon, and therefore they never become friends with this moon that's projected into their ocean. That's why he's saying that the Yadus are not fortunate. The gopis and Nanda and Yashoda and all the people that lived in Vrindavan, those people were fortunate. But the Dwarkabashis, they were this close to being fortunate. We're like fish in the company of the moon. We couldn't accept him as one of us. He came and he became a member of our family, but still we kept remembering and thinking, this guy is Vishnu. This guy is Vishnu. We better not treat him like a child. We better not treat him like a nephew. We better not treat him like a cousin. We better not treat him like an uncle. And because of that constant presence of awe and reverence, they couldn't get past a certain level of emotional intimacy with Krishna. And that's why they're the most unfortunate. So this will throw if you're coming from a religious background, this tosses your idea of God on the head. Because a religious background wants you to be the Yadus at most, and never wants you to be the Vrajavasis. It wants you to always remember God and fear God, and have some respect for God, and have some distance from God, and God is above you. But this is putting that totally opposite and saying that is like the preschool concept. That's the easy concept for ordinary people. Uddhava is saying, and that's all that we got. So even though we had the opportunity, he came to our family like he's trying to be our cousin. He's trying to be our kid. But we wouldn't take him that way. We couldn't really accept him as one of us. He wanted us to be like his family, intimate and relaxed, completely open-hearted, without keeping anything hidden or secret. But we accepted him as the head of our family, but we couldn't stop thinking of him philosophically as the entity who dwells in everyone and everything. So Uddhava is still getting very philosophical, isn't he? He's not really dealing directly with the emotion of having Krishna just left. It's kind of gone off a little bit on a tangent. There's Dwarka, there's Hastinapur, and there's Vrindavan. Hastinapur is about halfway between physically, not halfway physically, but it's between physically, but also emotionally. The people who are from Hastinapur, they are more friendly and intimate with Krishna than the people from Dwarka, but not as much as the people from Vraj. So, like Arjun is super, super friendly. He really treats Krishna like a brother, a cousin. And so Vidura is from that clan. Vidura, Krishna would come and hang out at Vidura's house, right? That's how we got introduced to Vidura. And Vidura used to feed him bananas. Like this is like the king of Dwarka and everything, and you just feed him bananas. They just hang out and eat bananas, and sometimes Vidura would be so involved in looking at Krishna and talking to Krishna that he would give Krishna the wrong part of the banana. Give him the peel. But Krishna would eat it because he didn't want to disturb Vidura. So anyway, Vidura now is going to say, but wait a minute, who cares about your philosophy? Did you just say that Krishna is not around? Krishna left the planet? So Vidura looked at Uddhava in absolute shock, his eyes asking why. Why did he leave? Now Uddhava is going to reply to that. Surely many people will gossip their opinions about it, and surely definitely they are. To this day, you got all this kind of Swami so-and-so of Swami Ananda, Swami so-and-so. Everybody gives their opinion. So Uddhava says, surely many people will gossip their opinions about Krishna's departure from the earth. But we need not concern ourselves with the opinions of fools who understand neither Krishna's appearance nor his disappearance. They are in the grip of fateful illusion and cling to countless unreal ideas. The intellect of those who are factually absorbed in Hari will never be shaken by the opinions of such fools. So Vidura says, all right, fine, enough philosophy. What's your opinion? What's your understanding of Krishna's disappearance? So Uddhava is now going to explain his understanding of why did Krishna leave everybody. For a while, Uddhava explained, Krishna displayed his own form, Swarup, his true intrinsic direct manifestation of being, even to the common vision of ordinary and unqualified eyes. So for a while, there's something called an avatar, which is where the unseeable true form of reality manifests itself, plain and simple for everybody to see, just as a red light manifests and a green light manifests, and any idiot can see it. Then, when he saw so many eyes hungrily attached to his beauty, he withdrew again to the inner region, like a fisher who casts bait to sea and then pulls back on the hook when a fish have bitten. So I hope you guys are getting this. At least 60% or more of it. Uddhava knows what he's talking about because he's a crossover character, because he knows all the spectrum of love for Krishna. He knows Krishna. He's not telling you about armies or philosophy or anything. He's telling you about why Krishna really, his personal reason, why he manifested and why he unmanifested. He manifests to show himself, and then he unmanifests to pull it. Like a fisher throws bait into the sea. The fish come and bite it, and then he pulls it out. Similarly, Krishna threw his beauty into the world, and when he sees enough eyes hungrily attached to it, he pulls himself out. That's how you do things. Any lady past the age of 12, or probably even before that, knows this. That's how you do things. I said that's exactly what Krishna did. Because that is his actual true mission for his avatar as Krishna. His actual true personal reason for manifesting as Krishna once every day of Brahma, once every 1,000 yuga cycles, is he wants to meet new people. So he shows himself and sees who comes and bites the bait, and then he pulls them out by leaving, takes them with them. So for a while, Krishna displayed his own form even to the common vision of ordinary and unqualified eyes. Then, when he saw so many eyes hungrily attached to his beauty, he withdrew again to the inner region like a fisher who casts bait to sea and then pulls back on the hook when the fish have bitten. He purposely makes his... Now, why does he make things look ordinary? Like, why are people going to gossip and have different opinions about what it is? This is the real opinion. This is the real reason. Who even knows? But other people have different opinions. Why does Krishna set that up so people are going to have different opinions? Uddhava's going to explain that. He purposely makes his form appear mortal because that sees his devotees in an urgent personal relationship with him and places them completely in the powerful grip of his own internal magic. That's why there's hunger. That's why there's thirst. That's why there's need. The supreme reality manifests hunger, thirst, need, emptiness to provide the opportunity to fulfill those things, which is the way that love moves. Love moves by one person fulfilling the needs of another and then reciprocating. And so if one person has no needs, then love can't express itself. So the supreme in the Supreme's form, there's going to be a need to eat, a need to sleep, a need for company. Because without those things are not imperfections. Because without those things, love can't express itself. And without love, you can't get exciting emotions. And without exciting emotions, what's the point of consciousness? The truth, however, is that his form is not at all mortal. It is he himself, especially amazing, the zenith of auspiciousness, the paramount transcendence, and the beautification of beauty itself. Uddhava looked at Vidura affectionately. You certainly saw this with your own eyes. At the emperor's ceremony for Dharma's son, there everyone saw Krishna's beautiful form, which brings auspiciousness to all eyes in all the three worlds. Everyone thought today the beauty of anything ever created by gods or humans has been surpassed. So this was during Uddhava's coronation ceremony. There was an incident where somebody started insulting Krishna, and Krishna let it happen 1,000 times, and then manifest himself fully as Vishnu and shocked everybody. And I think that's what Uddhava is referring to there. Everyone's eyes are satisfied by Krishna's beauty, Uddhava continued. But now, how much time do we have? I hope we have enough. Good. Now, you'll see where Uddhava's mind is really at. So he said, you guys, you all saw Krishna's beauty, and you felt satisfied. But that means, again, he's going to say the same thing, like, that means you're not lucky. You didn't really see it. When you see Krishna's beauty and you feel satisfied, you didn't really see it. The people who really see it, it's a pizza that you eat, and it's hot, and it's delicious, and the more you eat it, it creates more space in your stomach for eating more. That's the beauty of the Supreme Being. So now he's going to say there's some people that really experience Krishna's to the deepest. That's their feeling. Everyone's eyes were satisfied by Krishna's beauty, but not the women of Vraja. Those are the gopis. They look upon Krishna with insatiable hunger. That's the topmost bhakti, is in them. So anytime you hear any description of them, you're hearing about the most top, most purest kind of bhakti. When they see him, they stop everything, become completely still, and follow him with their eyes wherever he goes. I was just listening, my son had this song, I forget the artist's name, but she's chunky and blonde, and she's got this amazing voice that it sounds like Spanish or something. One more time. Dance Monkey is the name of the song. So she's got this line in there like, I see you walking by, something like that. It's like this. When the gopis see him, they stop everything and then they follow. Everyone wants to see the beauty of Krishna, but Krishna himself wants to see the beauty of these women. He honors them in so many ways by giving them his love-soaked glances, his love-soaked smiles, love-soaked pleasures, and sharing with them his love-soaked pastimes. So that's the thing about love, is that love itself is beautiful. You actually can't separate love from beauty. Beauty is the perception of love. So you can't separate love from beauty, and therefore to create beauty, you create love. But you can't create love. Love is an uncreatable entity, self-created, self-manifesting entity. But the gopis have the most purest love. That means that they're the most incredibly beautiful things ever. Even more than Bhagavan Krishna himself. And so the gopis are looking at Krishna, and Krishna is looking at them, and they get locked. Tones in a hey, Triff. Isn't that I like that singer, it's so good. That woman is so good. Uddhava took a long, deep breath and looked off into the distance sadly. Uddhava got to meet Radharani, the topmost gopi. He met and personally spoke with Radharani, which is very rare because generally these two worlds don't mix. The Dwarka world, where Krishna is a king, and the Vrindavan world, where Krishna is a lover. But Uddhava actually got to meet Radharani, so this guy knows what's what. He's in no illusion about how intense Krishna bhakti can get. So now he's just kind of drifts off again. Eventually, he returned to answering Vidura's questions. Miss Vinette asks, is there such a thing as unbearable longing for Krishna once one experiences Krishna, or will Krishna make the longing bearable? And the longing is unbearable. Even before you meet Krishna, the longing becomes unbearable because you begin to comprehend Krishna's various qualities or aspects before actually directly interacting. So it's actually the way that bhakti progresses is Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha-nivritti, Nishtha. And then it gets intense. At first it's rather lax. It's rather lax, but then after Nishtha it gets quite intense. Shraddha just means some trust or interest. Sadhusanga means you try to learn about it from people who know about it. Bhajan Kriya means you try to practice it. Anartha-nivritti means your practice is becoming better and better, and you're getting better and better at it, less and less mistakes. And then Nishtha means you're good at practicing bhakti, but it's still just practice. After Nishtha, you ruchi, asakti, bhava, and prema in order. And from there on, it gets quite intense. It's where you get taste. And you don't directly get taste for Krishna because you haven't experienced Krishna, but you get taste for the practice, or you get taste for practicing the love, which is even though it's not directly for Krishna, it's very intense, and it's going to start to make it unbearable. not to have the taste. And then it only gets worse from there. And then you get asakti, which is addiction. And then you get bhava. Bhava is where there's fulfillment of the addiction by Krishna saturating your being with love. So then you actually get the ability to love and interact with Krishna. And then prema is where it becomes perfect. And then there will be a constant alternance. Just like with electric current, you have to have an alternate between minus and plus. There'll be a constant alternation between longing and fulfillment. It's never going to be only longing. That would be depression. And it's never going to be only fulfillment. That would lose its edge. It would lose its intensity. It would dull. The sharpness of it would dull. So there's a constant alternating current between the two, and people know that. People who study Krishna Bhakti know that as the separation and union principle, Yog Viyog. So let's see. My pleasure. Thank you for a nice question. Let's do these next 3 paragraphs and then we'll stop. Now Uddhava is going to not really be able to hide in philosophy anymore. So he takes a long deep breath and looks off into the distance sadly. Eventually he returns to answering Vidura's question. When bamboos make friction with one another, fire emerges. In the same way, when the world makes too much friction with the saintly, the unborn all-attractive compassionately takes birth. He is the master of everything ordinary and extraordinary, and all forms of divinity are within him. Now that he is gone, it only aggravates my pain of separation to remember how intimately and conventionally he behaved with us. He is unborn and boundless, yet he took birth to parents who lived in captivity. He is unlimitedly heroic and powerful, yet he fled from Mathura as if frightened of his enemy. He is superior to everyone, yet he paid his deep respects to the feet of his parents, saying, Papa, Mama, we were so scared of Kamsa that we ignored our responsibilities towards you. Please forgive us. These memories began to tear Uddhava's heart apart. He hoped, you see, Krishna was really sad that he ran away from Mathura because he left his parents and everybody with Kansa. But this is a little bit ridiculous because Krishna was 1 minute old when he ran away. Actually, his father taxied him, buried him away. So anyway, he still had that feeling like, why didn't I go back? These memories began to tear Uddhava's heart apart. He hopelessly longed to again be in the company of Krishna, who sweetly behaves like an ordinary person just to facilitate affectionate relationships with those who love him. That's why he behaves like an ordinary person. He is an ordinary person. That's the thing. God is an ordinary person. This was the thing that rocked my world so hard when I was a kid. There was that song, What If God Was One of Us? And the Catholic Church or whatever hated it. That's when I realized these dudes are whack. These people are messed up. Why is it so offensive to them to think that God might be a person like you? You are totally nuts. So I was not on that page at all. So the thing is, God is one of us. Tat tvam asi. That's the basic Mahavakya of the Upanishads. Tat tvam asi. You are that. Thou art that. To put it in those Vivekananda, old English kind of words. So he is one of us because he doesn't want to be distant, because distance doesn't create emotional intensity. Distance creates coldness and boredom. He wants heat. He wants friction. He wants intensity. So he is ordinary and he makes you divine. He makes you able to be pure with him and superior to him. Because that makes it more exciting for him. So the memories began to tear Uddhava's heart apart. He hopelessly longed to again be in the company of Krishna, who sweetly behaves like an ordinary person, just to facilitate affectionate relationships with those who love him. The slightest quiver of Krishna's eyebrow could save the entire planet and destroy the greatest foe. But in deference for delighting in his devotees' love, he does not care to show or even remember that he is all-powerful and without need. So that's really important. All right, guys. That's good. Angel, that makes sense. I couldn't never understand the reaction to that song. I think it was probably just crazy popes or whatever. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to hear more about Uddhava. It's good stuff. Have a wonderful day.